Thank you for joining this Tuesday in Holy Week meditation. And thank you for the organ scholars for surrounding it with beautiful, beautiful music. A reading from 1 Corinthians chapter 1. The message about the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God, for it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of discerning I will thwart. Where is the one who is wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the debater of this age? Has God not made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since in the wisdom of God the world did not know God through wisdom, God decided through the foolishness of our proclamation to save those who believe. For Jews demand signs and Greeks desire wisdom, but we proclaim Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews and a foolishness to the Gentiles. But those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ is the power of God for them and the wisdom of God. For God's foolishness is wiser than human wisdom, and God's weakness is stronger than human strength. At the start of Holy Week, this reading about the wisdom of Christ is an invitation for us to come closer so that Jesus' story of love may take root in our hearts. Granted, the story of suffering and of Jesus' crucifixion is rather ominous, of course, when the path toward destruction is what looks ahead. Our human nature tends to move towards flight or fight. To approach the valley of Jesus' passion, it might be helpful to listen to the opening of the Johannes Passion of Johann Sebastian Bach. There is recently, if you Google this on YouTube, you find the 2019 recording of Voces 8, a really wonderful recording of the Johannes Passion. But this opening chorus illustrates superbly the layers of Jesus' path to the cross with its mix of doom and glory. For more than 10 minutes, this chorus proclaims, Lord, our Lord, whose glory is magnificent in all the earth, as if to make sure no one will be confused about the majestic glory of Christ while his humanity is being beaten down and being deformed. Maybe we have become a bit estranged from this wisdom of the cross. Maybe the different layers of the story, like the different layers in Bach's rendition, are somewhat confusing. Where is this going? Especially the Gospel of John plays with these layers of Jesus' power through his weakness versus the layer of human weakness in claiming strength. This yearly invitation to stand by Jesus, even when he is being crucified, is not first meant to be a moral confrontation with our possible sinful position. During the way of the cross, Jesus' suffering shows us, first of all, that when the road gets tough, Christ is joining humanity, every human person, whatever sin or suffering is part of your life, reminding us that we are not alone in this. Christ's suffering is a medicine of consolation for the struggling that we are going through. But approaching this cross, of course, confronts us with the bigger why. Why did Christ need to suffer? The one who is the exemplar human being, why has he been rejected? In the Gospel of John, it might be useful to know that Christ is not a victim here. Rather, in this story, he is an actor. His words and his actions are decided. He chose to do this because from the outset in the Gospel of John, chapter 13, he says, "My hour has come to show the love for humanity, my love to the end." And the love is expressed here in sacrifice. Again, something that may have come unfamiliar to us. His path to the cross in his sacrifice questions profoundly our inclination to avoid any type of sacrifice because we are so wired to avoid pain and to welcome pleasure. Not that the cross is a renunciation of pleasure or joy or a defense that all life should be destined to suffering and sacrifice. No, Jesus' cross operates with more nuance. Christ's suffering bars the human desire, calls a stop for humanity who's always asking for more, for control, for dominance, for individual satisfaction at all times. Because those manifestations of selfish pleasure contain easily the seed of violence. Satisfaction and possession can deviate to an act at the expense of others. Those actions of violence have led to endless claims of supremacy and acts of murder as the ones inflicted to Jesus. Jesus' cross, therefore, is the wisdom that manifests to us a call to humanity to not let ourselves go into this self-destructive approach to life. Transitioning from the strife of dominion towards the choice for communion is the exodus path that Jesus opens here as the Son of Man, the human, the ecce homo, the one who opens us to true humanity. Clearly, it takes some time to let go of the desire to violently appropriate things as the strategy of happiness. These acts of violence are as old as Cain's claim on Abel's life. Today, we are still learning how to divest from those acts of brutality or these microaggressions as they sometimes play out. Jesus' act of power was to bar these energies of violence by a radical care for humanity. This radical care of humanity expressed itself by creating room and space for the suffering human being, whether the person is the one causing suffering and sinning, or whether the person is the victim of the violence. Jesus does not react with revenge or rejection, but he disengages from the scheme of revenge and retaliation and creates room, a safe, holding environment for every human being to return back to what makes sense, back to what we are meant to be, back to life. We may stand as scarred and wounded. We may at times have trouble letting God back in. We may be alienated from our own humanity. But by joining us in our suffering, Christ is showing how God is making space for us, making us feel safe, to restore in us the humanity that we have lost. The cross is the room of redemption. And the cross, every year as we visit the story, is standing there as an invitation for every human being to allow God in our lives to make things right again. When we feel lost, when we feel like we have squandered the right to live, when we feel victim and oppressed, Christ is coming to join us, not simply to let us know that we are not alone, but also to turn things around and to start a journey of liberation and restoration. Approaching the cross of Jesus, as challenging and at times as repulsive it may look, is for us a path back to life, with our wounds, with our wrongdoings, with our helplessness, with our feeling lost. Giving space to our condition of struggle is the genius divine approach, the wisdom that we so much need to revive our being to the strength of life, the God given life.